Oh, John's here.
I just let him in.
Okay.
Hey guys.
Hey, John.
Hey, we were just about to go live and you joined perfect timing. We're actually already live. Just a heads up, John.
Perfect.
So,
Perfect.
bang. Welcome back to the Daily Crypto Byte, everyone. Today's Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. It's a beautiful day here in Chicago. And you know what? We're feeling a bit more optimistic today. CJ's got something special to talk about from one of our favorite analysts, Willie Woo, also Glassnode chart data to go along with that. So yeah, how are you guys doing today? How's your Friday going?
Pretty good. Although I did have to restart my computer and the internet here. We've got a backup, but even the backup was down, so I had to restart everything. But luckily, came back up. It was just a couple minutes late, so my apologies.
Well, we're very glad to have you here, John, because like I said, there's plenty to talk about today. So without further ado, I think we should hop right into it. We should start with some Bitcoin price action, although the chart is looking, more or less the same as it's looked over the last week. Let me just pull this up real quick here.
It's kind of looking like a little bear flag might be playing out. Last night, that sell-off was a little, or yesterday in general, that sell-off was a little spooky to the overall market, but looks like we're getting a little bit of a hammer back today, as well as the traditional markets are bouncing back, which is pretty decent to see on a Friday,
Yeah, and it was a great setup yesterday. I'm not saying, oh, I knew we'd stop at down 500 for the Dow. I didn't know any such thing. But what I will point out is the puts and the downside bets in the S&P and Chinese markets were short term. Whenever they're short term, they think something's going to happen quick, and you've got to be able to move quick and take advantage of that. We talked about it, CJ and I, yesterday, Monty, about how, if you've got an option that expires in a week and you get a move like you got yesterday, you take it. You don't look a gift horse in the mouth, you take it. Could we see another one next week? Sure. I don't know that Japan is going to get a lot worse than yesterday's news that basically we're locking down the country. We're not letting anybody into the games. And all of a sudden growth fears just, explode around the globe. Some areas of the world have a zero tolerance policy for COVID. I think that's a little too harsh. I hope everybody stays safe, but I think a zero tolerance, like in Australia, they can have 8 and 9 cases. And I mean 8, like that number, single digit case, and they'll lock that area down. There are some areas like that. Obviously, there are others that are, for one reason or another, willing to take thousands before they make any move at all. So, I think Boris Johnson said it best this week, guys, when he said, we have separated COVID from death. In other words, enough of the older people who are going to be most impacted by COVID. They're not the only ones. I'm just saying as a group, the largest group that is impacted are those who either have compromised immune systems or are older or both. And if you've got those groups vaccinated, then the younger guys like these two guys on our show, Monty and CJ, and I bet they're both vaccinated, but those guys, the people of their age group are not nearly, the odds of them dying of COVID or even a variant like Delta are extremely low. They get sick, but they're not going to die. And that's what Boris Johnson was saying, is that, we have basically separated death from COVID. Now, if people get COVID, they're not dying, they're not overwhelming hospitals, at least in the developed world. Now, there are parts of the world that there are. But anyway, too long-winded on that subject. But yeah, we're not going to see that every day, CJ. We're not going to see an economy like Japan's, a top 5 economy in the world, just completely shutter itself every day. We're not going to see that. And if we don't, then 500-point declines like yesterday are probably going to be less common.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, we didn't see too much sell pressure in Bitcoin yesterday. It held up relatively well. And I think some of that may be attributed to something that I want CJ to elaborate on now. And that is the Bitcoin difficulty ribbon. And I think we're entering in a pretty critical period here, CJ. I saw you mentioned it on Twitter, but how about you go a little bit more in depth about it here? I'm pretty excited to hear what you're seeing with this difficulty ribbon.
Yeah, I'll talk about the difficulty ribbon. One thing I want to start with, though, is that the DXY is actually on a TD sell 9 and is in some of a kind of a bearish posture here. So that's pretty good to see with dollar strength declining. Not something we always touch on.
I don't know if you remember on Wednesday, I pulled up that chart as well as the 10-year Treasury yield, and you could see that the DXY was continually making these sort of lower highs. And now that it's hitting that sell 9, CJ, that is a bit concerning. But yeah, go ahead, continue.
So the difficulty ribbon goes a long time back. Back when we used it, it was not this beautiful rainbow colored ribbon that Glassnode so nicely puts together. It was just this red band of moving averages that you had to stare at. But essentially, these are moving averages for the amount of hash power or difficulty on the Bitcoin network. And so when a lot of miners leave the Bitcoin network, typically they're selling or they're going out of business. And that's what we saw recently, right? In the great mining migration from China. Miners didn't have the ability to make profits because they had to turn off their machines. They had to transport their machines, which accrues more costs, which means they have to sell more Bitcoin. And so that puts sell pressure on the market. Very similar to what we saw when we dropped from 6K to 3K, kind of in the bear market, because we just had miners who could not sustain their current operating costs and they had to sell out. And that puts a lot of sell pressure on the overall market. And so when we get a turnover in hash power or difficulty, we see a compression in this ribbon. And going back all the way to 2013 and 2014, when we get a massive decrease in hash power or a true compression in this difficulty ribbon, it is a great, or it has been historically, a great time to accumulate Bitcoin in a range. Doesn't mean we can't go down to say 27K or something like that. Not going to rule that out, just to be fair. But this is one of the indicators that really gave me the courage to buy over the bear market of about 4,000 and then later on in prices like 3,000. I wasn't comfortable buying that. It didn't feel good. But I just kind of went through the theory of close your eyes and buy because this is what the overall macro indicators are telling us. And 6 to 8 months later, like that ended up being a very fruitful buy. And so we'll see if something similar occurs with our current point, but this is a very, very bullish metric in my opinion. And it's really why I'm comfortable accumulating at these levels and even scaling in more if we go down to 26 or 27K, that next leg down, because I think this is going to be a great investment in the next 6 to 8 months based on these metrics.
Yeah, CJ, entirely objectively speaking, I mean, just looking at this chart, these 3 periods of, similar difficulty ribbon movement have been tremendous times to accumulate. We were just talking before camera, but I think, a lot of the people that made the most money during this market cycle and were able to take profits up here at the top were people that did buy right after these 2 halving events of 2020, a period of, tremendous minor accumulation. So I think that we are entering a similar period here. Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention because it is very important. And it does remind me very much of this 2018 capitulation here in terms of what we're seeing with the ribbons, a complete crossover. And I'll be looking for this bottoming out of this ribbon. I think we're getting close because I'm expecting some of those miners to start coming back online soon as that hardware migrates to the West, but that's yet to be seen. But, this is a very interesting chart, CJ. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Well, looking around, guys, are you comfortable going into the weekend with Bitcoin just, back above 33,000 again? Or are you guys a little concerned going into the weekend?
Yeah, I'm definitely a little concerned, John. No,
you're always concerned into the weekend.
I am. The weekends tend to be bloody, John. That's just the way it is in crypto. And particularly when we have this sort of posture that we're seeing in Bitcoin. One thing that we've been talking a lot about is this 20 smooth moving average. And it's just been consistently acting as like a price ceiling for these lower highs that we're putting in. We put in one just a few days ago here. And then I don't think it's totally out of the question that we dip below 30K and retest this critical level of 29K. Like I talked about on the member webinar on Wednesday, this is a very critical level on the way up. I expect there to be a lot of buy pressure here if we do test this level. So this could be a very important weekend. I'm not convinced with the amount of volume we're seeing. We actually did see an uptick in volume yesterday, but it was bearish volume. Today, we're getting a little bit of a reversal, but I'm going to let today play out because I think that, once the Asian session kicks in, today's candle could close as a bearish one. And, tomorrow could be even more bearish and lead us back to that 30K, possibly 29K level. So I'm entering this weekend with caution. But that being said, I do have sort of a Doge of the day to talk about in a little bit, but I'll let CJ talk about how he's feeling coming into the weekend before we get to that.
I will definitely echo that sentiment. Anytime you're trading in a range, you're at the vulnerability of continuing the direction that you were going prior to entering that range. And so obviously the current momentum is downward in Bitcoin. And so that risks kind of a downward breakdown of this symmetrical triangle that we've been in. Really, I am cautious, I am concerned, but I still think that these are macro levels that will be pretty optimal in the long term to accumulate at. So, we always talk about the Sunday morning dip buying for those of us in Chicago. So that's something I'll be waiting for pretty diligently and looking for as well this weekend.
Well, keep in mind, folks, that if you are new to crypto, I just read a report that said only in Great Britain, about 1/5 or 21% of crypto traders in Great Britain understand anything about it. They just let it fly. And if you don't want to just let it fly and you want to basically go back and forth with people who have been in the game for quite a while, check out our daily crypto room. It is open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. As usual, you can join for your first month. It's $1. And you can decide after that if you'd like to join and pay the full price. But $1 just to try it out for a month. You just go to marketrebellion.com/try crypto. And you won't be like that 21% of the Brits that don't know what they're doing when they're buying and selling crypto. You'll be able to count on seasoned traders like CJ and Monty, as well as a whole community of traders that are in that trading room. And as always, that's just marketrebellion.com/try crypto, guys.
Yep. We'd love to have you. We're always in there, like John said, always chatting about crypto. And, the weekends get really lively in there. A lot of people that trade equities during the week come in during the weekend and, get their fix with trading. So if you're looking for something to do this weekend, you want to get your trading fix in, come hang out with us. We're happy to chat with you. But before we wrap up, I did want to give just a quick little, not really a Doge of the day. I guess you could maybe call it a Doge of the day, but it's just kind of something to look for this weekend, because this is a technical kind of anomaly that I've been watching over the last few weeks. And it's allowed me to make a lot of profitable trades, even during a time of, some not too stellar price action. So I want to start by talking about comp. This is an asset that I've been talking a lot about over the last couple of weeks. A lot of members of our room have been trading in and out of this successfully based on not just the TD sequential indicator, but also its placement relative to the 200 period smooth moving average. So I was mentioning down here, this wide divergence could be a good sign to enter this trade. A lot of people followed me in and took profits up here because we started to see a positive divergence from this moving average. Now I want to quickly pull up Luna's chart because I think this is really interesting as well. Luna is getting a nice bounce towards this 200 period moving average. One thing to look out for though is the fact that because it's above the smooth moving average, which a lot of assets are below, like Bitcoin, I would watch out for the possibility of Luna making a comparable move to what we saw in comp. So here's Luna, right? It's approaching the 200 smooth moving average. And then here's comp. It broke through that smooth moving average because it was already above this 20 smooth moving average, broke above the simple moving average, and climbed up here. So I'm watching for a similar thing with Luna. I'm watching for a break above the 200 period moving average and possibly some profit taking around this critical level of $12. So I'm going to actually go ahead and enter just a small Luna long position here with the goal of potentially taking profit up here at about $12. If you want to be a bit safer, you can wait until we cross above the moving average here at about 8.65. That would be great confirmation that, we are going to continue that pattern and possibly run up to this level. So that's all I got. I'm going to leave it with that. But CJ, didn't you have something to mention as well, my friend?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about Luna as well, and then just another Doge that I've picked. But in terms of the setup, I love the Luna setup. Also, the one of the like the trailing stops I like to use, especially with this current setup in Luna, is if you take the upper Bollinger Band, 20 simple period moving average for that center, and then the top Bollinger Band, which is one standard deviation above that. If we close above that in Luna, which we already did, that signals an entry, right? And then you basically just ride that entry above the upper band until we get a close below the upper band. That's the trailing stop essentially for the trade. And I like Luna, I'm in that one as well. So the other Doge that I have is Doge. It's on
Yes.
TD by 9. I think this is a level where if we get a bounce, could be a nice higher low. And so you can kind of see that through the trend line I've drawn up above on the top half of the charts. But I also kind of see a regression to the mean occurring and a potential kind of kickback up to that moving average. So we'll see if we get some volume on Doge this weekend. But Luna and Doge are going to be my two as well. And going back to what we had talked about, one point I wanted to make about the room in general is that, Market Rebellion Crypto is more than just a paid group where you copy trade people, although you can. But we really want to bring a lot of education, and we want to bring you guys the tools so that you can become the best trader that you can be. And so we're continually providing education and new courses for that for just $1. So definitely please go check that out at marketrebellion.com/crypto. But thank you.
Love it. Love it. I am throwing in a quick one, guys. Nano, Nano. Bought a little last night, bought a little more this morning. I'm thinking it goes from, if I'm reading it right, it might go from $4.45, $4.45, that is, to $4.90 or $5. And the next stopping point after that is considerably higher if we can break through, because middle of June, this one was nearly $7. So I like the idea of picking up Nano, and that is the symbol as well, NANO. Trades on Binance. Let me see, Binance, Kraken, Hubei. Yeah, that looks like it's where it's most active. And check it out, NANO. That's my Doge.
Nano's best performing asset of 2017. Nano and XRP, both of those two. I think they were up around 20, 30,000%. Insane run.
Yeah. Well, and remember, if you choose to use that handy little Voyager app, folks, Voyager, you can trade crypto for free. The 60 assets that they've got there, they don't charge you a commission on them. They will even pay you interest of up to 9%, I believe, on deposited funds. And they give you a boost, of course, if you own their token, which is VGX. Any of those stocks any of these cryptos that I'm looking at flipping by here, I think it's a great way to monitor your holdings just right there in your hand. That app is so superior to what some of the competitors have that you'll be surprised how fast and easy it is to trade crypto on that platform, Voyager Digital. And if you type in Rebel 25, you get $25 in Bitcoin just for opening a new account. That's Rebel 25.
Yep. Thank you so much to Voyager for sponsoring this show. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And, like John said, we'll be hanging out in the room, so feel free to drop by. But, get out there, enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you guys again on Monday. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.